Wow, let me give you a little history lesson. Now, Benzino's actually played a very integral role that goes even way back before the days of the Source magazine. Now, before I get straight into it, can you please sub to the channel? Now, with Benzino, he was part of a group that actually predates NWA. Not many people would know this these days unless they really know their history on hip hop. So he goes all the way back to a group that was called the Almighty RSO. So that American hip hop group was from Boston, where Benzino's from, but back in those days he was called Ray Dog. Now, there originally was there was 5 members in that group, if I remember correctly. One of them is actually deceased now. He died just shortly after the group was formed. But what's amazing is this group was actually one of the very first groups to start writing and recording gangster rap songs. It predates the days of NWA. Now, this was around the same time Ice-T was coming about. The group battled Ice-T on stage, if I remember correctly. Now, the Almighty RSO disbanded some point in the 90s, and then Ray Dog actually changed his name to Benzino. He then rebranded the group with another original member, and they went under the name Made Men. Now, this Made Men group actually did create some controversy, and I'll explain shortly how that happened. Now, Benzino played an active role in the Source magazine. At one point, the magazine actually had a former board member sell shares to Benzino, who then owned a stake in the company. So the Source magazine was founded by Dave Mays in 1988, so a long time ago. So in 88, the aim of the Source magazine was to cover urban news and culture. And then in 1990, the company set up in New York, and they had aims of going mainstream, which they did. They then started a Source Awards show called the Source Awards in 1994, and this ran to the year 2004. A lot of you may know that Puck and Suge, put on that epic performance at the Source Awards, where, Suge makes that famous statement where he challenges people to come to death row. So this was, around the start of the Source Awards that the whole death row saga kicked off, and Benzino was at the helm of the Source magazine, working behind the scenes to make things happen. And somehow down the lines, things got blurred between the creative freedoms of press and the influences that artists would have in the music scene. So it's been alleged that a lot of payola started going on somewhere down the lines, like journalistic integrity was compromised. This has been alleged anyway. So this started to really take fruit when the Source magazine started a relentless campaign against Eminem. Now, it only ramped up after the Source magazine got hold of an old Eminem tape where Eminem was rapping racial slurs about an ex-girlfriend of his. Now, the Source magazine got a hold of this old tape that Eminem recorded back in his Scam days. He had a group called Scam. Now, what was unfortunate about the Source magazine getting a hold of this old Eminem tape where Eminem's basically racially vilifying people was that they used it as a bargaining chip against Eminem, holding, I believe, Eminem to stand for what he said in this song and explain it to the public, which Eminem got hold of lawyers, and then they sued the Source magazine for control and possession of that tape that the Source had in their possession. But this case that Eminem's legal team brought up against the Source was a suit for defamation of character and copyright, which Eminem's lawyers lost. So the judge ruled in favor of Benzino and David Mays and gave them authority to release the tape in a limited capacity. So the Eminem tape was released in 2004, and this brought a lot of heat on Eminem, who had to explain himself, and he did. He came out and explained, why he made the tape and the situation that led to him recording the lyrics that he did. Now, Eminem addressed the tape on his song Like Toy Soldiers after receiving a huge backlash from people, in the hip-hop community, especially people like Lord Jamar, who, the Source magazine started winning favor with. Now, that, was a very long and drawn-out, protracted beef that the Source magazine and Eminem had, and there was a lot of negative publicity for both people, both Eminem and the Source and Benzino, and then a slew of diss songs came. Benzino started, dropping diss songs to M, and, then M came out with a diss directed, Benzino called Nail in the Coffin. And then the final few things that happened that put a nail in the coffin for Benzino at the Source magazine was the fact that his group Made Man actually got awarded 4.5 mics for an album which dropped, which a lot of people said did not warrant 4.5 mics, and it was alleged that it was meant to get 5 mics, but this would have brought a lot of scrutiny, so it was downgraded to 4.5 mics. And a lot of people said this album was not worthy of 4.5 mics. Now, I listened to the album and I agree. I don't think it even deserves. It's not anything special. It is an album by Benzino's old group members and himself. I don't think there are too many hits. I wouldn't consider it a 4.5 mic album, that's for sure. There's a lot of albums I could put over that did not get 4.5 mics that deserve, to be higher up in the pecking order. And then around this time, a lot of people started scrutinizing the award system at the Source magazine, so it lost its integrity, and things went downhill from here. On top of that, Benzino was battling unfair dismissal suits and all these sorts of court cases from former staff of the Source mag, and then it reached the point where Benzino had enough and decided to sell his share in the company. Now, Benzino completely disassociated from the Source, and the company was bought out and rebranded, and then distanced itself from its former founder and former shareholders. Now, when I look up the Benzino's net worth on Celebrity Net Worth, it shows that Benzino's only worth $500,000 now. So, if that's accurate, then there's been a lot of stuff that's happened that maybe Benzino feels that like the scene has been against him this whole time, and maybe Benzino could be better that his original group never quite got the same esteem and value and kudos as the group NWA, and I think that this resentment is something that's slowly eaten away at Benzino over the years, in my opinion, and I think that maybe this has made Benzino bitter with the music industry and the fact that his group, the almighty RSO, would never, got the same recognition and esteem as NWA. So this is my take on why Benzino may be upset with a lot of people in the industry. It's not an easy industry to make money in and gain support, and Benzino is one of those people that's always spoken his mind, and he comes at the game hard and may upset a lot of people. Now, he's hasn't caused, but he has upset a lot of artists like Mercules and Joyner Lucas, and there's a whole list of artists now beefing with Benzino, and I think that it was a bad move because now Benzino, has a lot of heat on him that he didn't want. So only time will tell how this beef plays out, but I think it'll just fizzle out. I think Benzino's taken on too many people in the industry, and I think that it didn't work in his favour. But anyway, I'm MC Rapology, just giving you a little history lesson. So explaining to you the origins of Benzino, aka Ray Dog, his original group, the original gangster rap group before NWA that most people wouldn't even know about. So check your history, learn about hip hop. I'm MC Rapology. Peace.